everyone, and welcome into Stadium Drive Week 1, and it's a part 2. We're here on a Friday in Powell, Ohio, Olentangy Liberty High School for Olentangy Liberty, the Patriots, the state champions in Division 1 in 2024, their first championship in program history, taking on a rival in Olentangy, and super excited to be here. We've talked to both coaches, Wade Bartholomew and John Sansbury. We'll hear from them in a few minutes, but it's super exciting to have football back here with Storied Rivals. We're going to go through all the games that are on our schedule tonight. We were at Meadowbrook Tri-Valley last night, game in the MVL. That was close through 3 quarters. It was 28-21 after 3 quarters, and Tri-Valley was able to pull away a young team after graduating a lot of talent. So Tri-Valley won that one 48-28. Our other game that we covered last night, West Muskingum and Lakewood on the Hill. West Muskingum won that one 42-0. And so now here we are for part 2 on a Friday here at Olentangy Liberty High School. And the Patriots, they themselves graduated tons of talent as well. Andrew Leonard, Jake Struck, Christian Moulton, the most notable guys on the offensive side of the ball. All 3 of them gone from that championship team, gone to graduation, state champions in multiple sports, outstanding athletes. And so now this Olentangy Liberty team is a bit younger. They're on the younger side of things. And if you look at Olentangy from last year, the Braves, they were 8-3. They were a younger team themselves, but they bring mostly everybody back. And so it's kind of a role reversal with these 2 teams from last year. One team, Olentangy last year was more experienced, had a lot of guys back. They graduate everybody, and now they're more youthful, and it's the opposite for Olentangy. So it's going to be a really exciting, and we'll dive in to our interviews here in a moment. But I mentioned one guy, and that guy is Andrew Leonard, who graduated just a year ago, or after this championship run for the Patriots. And you just look at the career that he had. He was a Mr. Football finalist, but in 42 career starts, he completed 66% of his throws, had over 8,000 yards passing, 1,100 yards rushing, and 78 total touchdowns. And you can't even, those numbers, I guess, quantify the impact, but he was also an unbelievable leader for the Patriots as well. And you can't leave out, Jake Struck and Moulton, and a big piece on their defense that they return, Antonio Kish, who had an unbelievable playoff run, intercepting passes, was all over the field. And now this new, younger team, youthful, talked to Coach Sansbury, and they have 2 quarterbacks. And the old adage is sometimes if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. But he believes he's got 2 talented quarterbacks, and over these first couple weeks of the season, he's going to give both of them opportunities and see which one is able to pull away in the quarterback race and lead this Patriots team through the 2025 campaign. But I don't want to spoil any more. Let's hop into the interview now with head coach John Sansbury of the Olentangy Liberty Patriots, talking about that quarterback battle, how his team progressed through the month of August to get to this point, defending this state championship and matching up against this Olentangy Braves football team led by Wade Bartholomew. So here is head coach John Sansbury. Thanks so much for joining us on Stadium Drive. We're live on YouTube tonight, and we'll share the link over to Facebook as well, so you can check it out there. But thanks for being here. Sansbury, Olentangy Liberty Patriots, the state champions in Division 1, joining us with Storied Rivals for Week 1. It's finally here, Coach, and I know when we talked couple weeks back, you said you needed some time to flesh some things out before you knew what things were going to look like for this season. How did the last couple weeks and I guess the month of August go as far as getting your guys ready for this Week 1 game with Olentangy?
I think it went pretty well. I mean, obviously there's ups and downs with everything, but our kids are playing hard. Our seniors are doing a good job leading. We're learning a lot. We're getting better every single day, and that's just what we focus on. And so we try to create competition everywhere at all times, because guys play harder and try harder and prepare more. And so we're still kind of working through things with that. And tonight will be a big opportunity for a lot of our guys. I'm excited to see them play. But we're not exactly sure how we're going to play. I know we're going to play hard, but we're waiting to kind of see tonight when the lights come on for the first time we'll have a lot of new starters this year. So kind of excited to see how they handle the big stage and how they play tonight.
So, who are some of these new starters going to be? Namely at the quarterback position. I know you're going to have new running backs, receivers. You graduated a lot of talent, but who steps in at some of those skill positions and at that quarterback position to replace Andrew?
Yeah, so quarterback, we got two guys competing with Mason Miller and Alex Leonard, and it's still a competition. So we're going to see both of them tonight, probably a lot, and that could be all year. I don't know. We're gonna see if one of them one of them steps up, or they both might step up. That would be ideal. And we want to play a bunch of guys at all positions, not just quarterback, and it creates more depth, more buy-in. I think I talked about this last time, and um, kids care more when they're playing. That's just kind of human nature. And so
Right.
there's going to be a lot of guys. We only have 14 seniors, and we'll be relying heavily on guys from last year like Ben Godwin, who comes back in that receiver room, who's a captain for us. He's going to be potentially a big weapon for us on offense, and we have a new running back. Well, we'll see Grayson Davis a lot at running back in the backfield and outside in the slot. But we have a new guy, Daniel Enienchi, who's a junior, who will get some carries in the backfield. So a lot of guys, and we have a bunch of receivers, new receivers that will get opportunities as well. So we'll see tonight which ones step up and make plays. Hopefully, it's all of them.
Right. So, how do you plan to maneuver the two quarterback system? I guess obviously one will start the game, but is it on a drive by drive basis? Will they take turns, or I guess once you kind of get into the flow of the game, do you kind of just ride whoever's got the hot hand? How do you plan to maneuver that tonight, and I guess the first couple of weeks of the season?
Yeah, that'll be something we've never really had this before, so we're working through it as well. But yeah, they're both going to get opportunities in the first half. We don't know exactly how it's going to go, right? If somebody's playing really well and hot, obviously we want to keep them in the game. But both are going to get shots, and really we just need both of them to, manage the game, take care of the football, distribute the ball to their playmakers, and put together, chase first downs, right? So we're not trying to do anything too crazy. And whoever does that the best will probably be the one that gets to play a little bit more. But they both have different packages and that sort of thing too. So um, we're kind of excited. It's a good thing to have more than one quarterback that can play. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's great to have two talented guys, but there's also some people believe in the old adage of if you have two quarterbacks, you have none.
Mhm.
So, and it's definitely a tricky thing to balance for sure. But that is exciting that you do have two guys, and we'll look at the matchup with Olentangy tonight because it's kind of like a reverse situation of last year. Because last year you had all these talented guys return, you were loaded, and they were a young team last year and now they return pretty much all of their guys and you're a younger team, so it's kind of a role reversal. But what are you looking forward to about that matchup tonight with Olentangy, a pretty talented team that was a playoff team last year?
Yeah, really good football team. A lot of talented guys, good football players, really good defense. So we're excited because it's a great challenge and it's an interdistrict rival. Couldn't think of a better way to start the season off. I don't have to motivate our guys; they're motivated. This is big. I'm sure our stadium will be packed. Max capacity like it was last year over there. So it'll be a really cool environment for our kids to play in, a playoff type of environment as well. And I'm just excited to see how our guys handle it and play and um, do the things that we've been practicing for all summer really.
Describe the Olentangy rivalries to me, because four schools all with the same Olentangy name. Olentangy is of course the OG, original school, and then now you've had these other ones. But describe these rivalries with Orange and Berlin and Olentangy. It's certainly really unique because all of these kids, when they were young, they grew up together, they're playing, sports together, they live in the same areas, and then they split off into these four separate schools.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you hit it. I mean, these kids know each other. We're we're all really close to each other geographically, and so that makes it a little bit more fun for them. And obviously, they're a little bit more excited for it too. I think we have our programs have pretty good relationships with each other. I would say at least from the Liberty perspective. I think we do. As far as Coach Bartholomew, I speak with him a decent amount in the offseason. Same with Coach Schrader at Olentangy Orange, and we have a ton of respect for Berlin and Coach Norrie. So I'd say they're all kind of equal as far as our kids go. And obviously, we want to win every game that we play in. But the Olentangy seem to have a little extra to it because
Sure.
the crowds are going to be – those are the biggest crowds we have. The three Olentangy schools we play at or host, those are by far our biggest crowds, both with students and just the community. And so that creates an atmosphere. You're like, this is Friday night football. This is awesome. This is what it's about. And so it's fun for us coaches, but also really fun for the kids too.
Yeah, well, week one, the chance to defend your state championship tonight against Olentangy, and we're looking forward to being at the game, Coach. And I appreciate you, as always, hopping on for a few minutes to chat football, man. It's always fun, and best of luck against Olentangy and throughout this regular season, man, as it gets rocking and rolling.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys and what you do for high school football. This is great. And yeah, we're excited for week one. Here we go.
As Coach Sansbury said, the atmosphere here tonight is going to be electric. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Powell, near the Columbus area. It's pretty warm out right now. I got the hat on backwards. You know, it's too warm. I had to keep the sun out of my eyes. Well, I'm not blocking it with my hat, but I didn't want the sun to shade my eyes for you guys. I wanted you to see my face while I'm talking to you. It's bright out here. It's beautiful, and we're ready for some high school football. And you know, the rivalry with these schools, it is, you know, pretty incredible. As John described, you know, all these kids grow up together, play sports together as little kids and everything, and then they split off into these 4 different schools, and it makes it certainly unique when all these kids really know each other and live in the same areas. But the state champion Patriots, they've got a tall task tonight going up against this Olentangy Braves football team, 8-3 last year in the regular season, or 8-2 in the regular season, lost in the first round of the Division I playoffs, and they had a great year, but they were a younger team, and they return a lot of their guys back. And one of those guys, we'll give you the numbers for him right now. Their quarterback, who is now a senior this year, Luke Chalicki, completion percentage 65%, 1,300 yards passing, almost 1,400, 16 passing touchdowns. Did throw 3 interceptions on the year, only 3, which is really good in 11 games. Not much of a runner, 120 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, but he was named OCC Cardinal Division Honorable Mention, so a really good year for the junior last year, now stepping into his senior season. Took over for Ethan Grunkmeyer, who is a quarterback on Penn State's roster. He filled in and did a tremendous job for this football team. And so now we'll kick it over to Wade Bartholomew. At the end of the interview, don't want to spoil it, but we get into something that's really heartwarming and touching that I'm sure a lot of people in this area know about, but I learned about it just the other day before I got to talk to him, something about his life. So that's coming up at the end of the interview, but talked about the youthfulness of his team last year and how they've progressed into this season and how they match up against Olentangy Liberty this year. They lost to Olentangy Liberty in the season opener last year, if you guys remember, 28-0. So looking to get a little bit of revenge. Of course, you see them go and win the state championship. That adds some extra motivation to this game for the Braves. So we'll let Wade talk about it here on Stadium Drive. Week 1, Part 2, here in Powell at Olentangy Liberty High School. And here is Coach Bartholomew. Olentangy Braves football joining us with Storied Rivals, and week 1 just around the corner. We're going to be at the Olentangy Liberty Olentangy game this Friday. Thanks for joining me, Coach. Appreciate your time, man. And I want you to talk to me about your offseason, I guess, because you're returning tons of talent from last year's playoff team that went, I believe, 8-3 overall. He lost in the first round of the playoffs, but Luke Chalicki's back at quarterback. He was an honorable mention in the OCC. Caden Gebhart and Daniel Stevens were both co-defensive player of the year. So you get tons of studs returning to your team. What was your offseason like? And obviously you're a day away from week 1. I mean, how has everything led to the build up to now?
Yeah, our off season was tremendous. I'll say it probably a billion times in this message. Our seniors are awesome. This senior class is great. I mean, you mentioned three of them, three tremendous kids with about 15 other kids in that class that are tremendous leaders, great guys. So we had great, great attendance, great intensity. Our kids showed up on a consistent basis, wanting to get better and drive. Losing, we went 8-3, but we lost to the other three Olentangy. So we had a lot of motivation, even being, a pretty successful team in Central Ohio area. Kids were ready to come and fight back and get better. And we really had to challenge a lot of our juniors and sophomores because we played a lot of those going to be seniors, juniors last year. So we didn't have kids that had varsity experience in that sophomore class from last year. So those kids really had to come in and get better. But it was a tremendous offseason. I thought our summer was even better than our offseason. Lifting program, our kids were around. They worked really hard. We got so much stuff done, and we were way ahead of the game than what we've been the last 2 years. So we're at that point now where we're kind of just done with all the get up, and we're just ready to go actually see if we can do anything with it. So.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. You mentioned that you lost to the other Olentangys. What's that? As someone who is, because I'm in the southeastern Ohio area, so I'm not as tapped into the Columbus area schools and football in that area too much. But talk to me about those rivalries between those schools, because you have the same name essentially, and you go out and you play each other every year. I mean, what are those rivalries like with Orange and Berlin?
Yeah, no, they're huge games. They're awesome events. The community comes together. They preach one Olentangy, which we are. I'm saying we're all connected. It's kind of like
Right.
family, right? Like you're going to fight with your sister, and you're going to be mad at her, but as soon as somebody else in school wants to say something to you, you're ready to go, right? And that's kind of how we are. But probably the biggest piece is us being the original high school. There's always a target on us because everybody wants to prove that, like, just because we're the original doesn't mean we're the best of them all. And so every time we go into those games, like we hear it, and we hear it in chants, we hear it in, and people walking when we're walking into the game that, hey, little brother, you're not the OG, things like that. So there's always that small target for us no matter which one we go. But as for like the football, I think it's a tremendous product. I think all four coaches do a tremendous job. And so when you get into those games, you have to be extremely prepared on both sides of the ball and on special teams, because any mistake you make, those guys are going to capitalize, because I think those guys do a tremendous job with their kids. They're always going to be physical. They're always going to be skilled. There's just really never a weakness anytime you play them. And then when you get into those rivalries games, you just never know how your kids are going to behave and react. Like some kids that are superstars are all of a sudden going to play like average kids, and then you're going to find an average kid who's going to play like a superstar. And so it's literally always just like a question mark, like, okay, hey, kickoff happens, like who's going to show up and who's not, just because it is such a ramped up game. Because I mean, great example is talking to one of my offensive linemen, Nico Chirpus. He's our right guard. Like he's tremendous friends with a lot of kids at Liberty. So like there's extreme bragging rights amongst these kids because they hang out all the time. They know the kids across from them. So it's not just like a cross-time rivalry where you don't see them. Like they've grown up with these guys. They played biddy ball with them. They played, middle school ball with some of them. And now all of a sudden here they are playing a huge high school game against each other.
Yeah. The one team I didn't mention was Olentangy Liberty, because you're going to be opening up against them this Friday. How do you feel about opening up against the defending state champs?
Yeah, I think it's both good and bad, right? Like obviously the good is you can motivate your kids all off season. Like, hey, we got to go. Like there is no hesitation. We can't take a speed bump early. You know what I'm saying? We got like every practice has got to be crisp and clean. The negative side is that you're playing a tremendous football program right off the bat. And so you better be ready to go. So you got to have all phases practiced. You got to have everything somewhat introduced. You can't just come in with a vanilla scheme, a vanilla offense, because they're very talented. So you got to find unique ways to beat them. Just because you're probably not going to beat them doing the most basic things that you do, because they're obviously the best team in the state of Ohio coming back.
Obviously, Olentangy Liberty, they graduate tons of talented kids. Andrew Leonard and their running back Jake Struck, Christian Moulton is gone, but you guys return tons of players. So you guys have a lot of the same core returning. They are kind of having to figure things out a little bit, just with some new kids coming in. When you look at your roster versus theirs, do you feel like I know I don't think you necessarily want to say you have an edge
Right.
over the state champs, but when you look at what you have returning, do you feel pretty good about that matchup?
What I feel pretty good about is we have kids who've experienced the Liberty Olentangy matchup. Last year was the first time we'd played Liberty in I think 5 years. So like even there was nobody on our roster and there was nobody on their roster that really ever experienced Olentangy Liberty. Now we've obviously always played the other ones, but these are the two original schools. So, that rivalry's even almost bigger than the rest of them. But they came in with a very veteran group last year. The Leonard kid never phased. The Strutt kid had already won 2 state titles, so they knew what big games were. And our kids were new. So I think the one advantage we have is we have several kids who played in this game, know the intensity of this game, know how important each play is, compared to them to where they have a lot of confidence coming back, but they have a lot of kids that are going to be brand new out on the field, kind of like we were last year. So we kind of flipped the script, really. Last year we were pretty much trying to replace that whole class that we had with Ethan Grunkenmeyer and Gavin Grover, both Division I kids, and they left us, and then all of a sudden we had to replace those guys last year, and so they're in that same boat where they have to replace the Leonard kid and the Strutt kid and the Moulton kid, like you said, along with that tremendous defense that they had of players. So I wouldn't say talent-wise or size-wise or anything like that we have an advantage on the roster, but I do think experience can play a big role in a game like this.
Yeah, you mentioned Ethan. Have you been in contact with him a lot since he's been at Penn State?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I've definitely talked to him. I probably had 15, 20 conversations since he's been up there. He's doing tremendous. He loves it. He's doing great. He's probably going to be their number 2. He struggled a little bit this past spring. I think things were kind of just new and the pace was a little bit different. He obviously got thrusted in last year during their playoff run to be the number 2 guy. But he's had a really good fall camp, and every time I talk to him, he's always super pumped and excited for the season. So.
That's awesome. Now, this is unrelated to football, but when I was just kind of doing some homework and stuff before talking to you, I stumbled into this, and so I think it was last year during the summer you donated one of your kidneys, which I found very fascinating, and it was to the school's athletic secretary. I guess describe your relationship with her and how that came about, and obviously, and like you stepped up and essentially, I guess, saved her life. Describe all of that to me, because that's super unique and heartwarming.
Yeah, no. So obviously, the athletic secretary is the person that runs the show, right? Everybody can say the AD, but if you don't make that lady happy, you're in trouble, or
Sure.
So I got to know her my first summer coming up, just as the athletic secretary, right? And she would help me schedules and buses and different things like that. And she was kind of my point of contact when I had questions. Well, then my wife got the head secretary job for the high school in the building, and so they actually work like cubicles together, like right there in the same room. And so she got to know her, and throughout the whole year last year, or 2 years ago, I should say, 2 years ago, my wife Diana just saw the struggle of Lisa. She was out, she was sick, she was cold. There were days that they would say, like, Lisa, you have to get out of here. You look like crap. You need to go sleep. She just, like, heartfelt. My wife was like, Lisa's struggling, and so they were always talking about like what's going on with her, and it was her kidney again failing, and Lisa was talking about how it's just getting worse and worse, and she's going to go on dialysis, and she's on the transplant list, but obviously those transplant lists, it could be years before they get an opportunity. And she'd had a couple people like that she knew run and go get tests, and she never got her hopes up, because it is hard to be a match, right? And so she came back a couple of times, and Diana could tell she was disappointed, even though Lisa said that she wasn't going to. And I happened to walk in one day and they were talking about it, and I just said, hey, what are we talking about? And they were talking about it, and I was like, I'll do it. And Lisa kind of looked at me like, yeah, okay, like she didn't get her hopes up. And so me and my wife went to go on spring break, and so we were driving out to Kansas City and just got to talking about it. And I was like, I'm serious, babe. Like, I think I'm a pretty healthy person. Like, I've always wanted to give back. I give blood and do these different things. Like, why not? So we got back, and I scheduled my appointment, and man, it was 6 weeks later. I was under the knife, and handing it off to her, and she came out, and everything went great. I never wanted it. I never wanted it to become a story. The only reason that it came out was because I thought that I could help bring awareness to the fact that you can do those things and come from any walk of life. I'm a football coach, and I did it in the middle of summer, which is one of my busiest times in my year. And
sure, yeah.
I didn't miss a thing. I didn't miss a beat. I had great staff that stepped in with some of the times I had to not be able to do it. But I think that's really, I didn't even let the staff know here. I didn't let my cousins and aunts know. Like, I just really wanted to just do it anonymously if I could. But once the word kind of got out, Lisa talked me into trying to be a little bit of a spokesperson for it to see if we can bring awareness to the fact that it can be done, and it can be done in all walks of life.
That's incredible, man. Thanks for sharing that, and I appreciate you hopping on and talking some football and some life for 10 minutes or so. Best of luck against the state champs this Friday, man. Looking forward to being there, and it's great to meet you and talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming out and supporting us, man.
Well, the state champion Patriots are warming up right behind me, and the Braves behind them. We're getting ready for some high school football action here on a Friday night, the first Friday of the fall. And it's here in Powell at Olentangy Liberty High School. Will Ford here with Storied Rivals Sports Media. Thanks so much for joining us for Stadium Drive Season 3, Episode number 2. We were at Meadowbrook last night, now here at Olentangy High School, Olentangy Liberty High School tonight. And I guess why not go through our Week 1 schedule? So let me pull it up for you guys. We'll start with games in East and Northeastern Ohio. So the games at the top left are final. They were on Thursday night. West Muskingum 42-0 on the hill over Lakewood. And then Tri-Valley on the road, doing it for the late Josh Wright, winning 48-28 over the Meadowbrook Colts. And then we'll go through our schedule here tonight. We've got the Garaway Pirates in the IVC looking to get back to their 10-0 winning ways. On the road at Riverview, Ridgewood playing host to Coshocton, the Union Local Jets, led by Bernie Thompson, hosting Warren JFK, Coach Edwards and the John Glenn Muskies at Maysville, led by new head coach Chase Bowman, who came over from Morgan a couple years ago. He just now taking over, but he was at Morgan, the head coach, a couple years ago, I should say. And then on the right side of your screen, UX, the small school division champions in 2024. Younger team this year, hosting Fairfield Union. Philo on the road at Heath. They've played some great games over the years. Sheridan is hosting Licking Valley. Talmadge at Akron Ellet. Worcester, led by head coach Ray Leake, who's at Cambridge. Then Dalton, and now Worcester. On the road at Orville, and our final game on our schedule here tonight, Zanesville on the road taking on Johnstown Monroe in an LCL matchup. So that's East and Northeastern Ohio, and let's take a look at Central and Western Ohio so you can get our full slate of games here this evening. Centerville at home against Lakota East, and they're coming off of a state championship game runner-up, a Final Four run last year. Came up just short of making the state championship in Division I. Dublin Jerome at Westerville South. Reynoldsburg is hosting Dublin Scioto. Grandview Heights, tremendous year last year on the road at Columbus Briggs. Granville, heartbreaking end to last season, looking to rebound with a younger team, Kyle Kirby and company, hosting Marion Franklin. Hamilton Township plays against Whitehall Yearling at home. Hilliard Davidson at Mansfield. Jonathan Alder at Liberty Salem. New Albany and the Eagles back with another season with us at Storied Rivals, hosting London. And then, of course, our game here tonight, Olentangy Liberty, Olentangy here in Powell, Marysville, hosting Olentangy Orange, and Upper Arlington, Anthony Wayne. And the last game at the bottom of your screen, Westerville Central, Westerville North. So the Westerville team's doing battle here in Week 1, and that's our schedule. So thanks so much for joining us here for Stadium Drive, week number 3. 2 games this week, and it's fun to be back out here on the football field, man. Really appreciate it. You guys tuning in. We unfortunately weren't live yesterday with some connection issues, whatever. That's what happens, right? But the show is up from yesterday, Meadowbrook Tri-Valley. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube here this evening. We'll get the link shared out to Facebook so people can watch it there as well later on in the evening. And real quick before I go, I'm going to hop out of frame for a second. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Max Effort Muscle, the best tasting protein in the game. They've got other supplements as well. This is amino recovery, lemonade flavor, I love using their protein, and I've used some of their aminos as well. They've got tons of different flavors, tons of cool merch as well. So go check out Corey G and the guys, maxeffortmuscle.com, and we appreciate their support each and every year, and they're joining us for another season here at Storied Rivals. But football about to kick off here in Powell in about 25 minutes, so I'm gonna step away and get ready to keep you guys up to date with highlights and score updates from this game. Stay tuned to all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, X, for score updates on the teams you're looking to follow that we cover. And I'll be giving you score updates and highlights from Olentangy Liberty, the state champs in Division 4 2024, or Division 1 in 2024, hosting the Olentangy Braves. The Battle of the Olentangies here in Week 1. See you soon, guys. Take care. Happy football. And thanks for watching.